In the tour of stopping the talkative scumbag in the Red Pride began with service in the army, where he was tired of giving a debt to the motherland, sweeping the leaves with shovels and double rubbing the wheels with shoe polish, and he decided to calm down the lobe, to enjoy the main benefits of human life again. PPPP Raga, Prague and tits. Well, since his parents dropped his head down in 3 months, Deadpool grew up to be a complete critic, that he was not even taken to the fast food side, and he began to earn money with a small bandos, where the tops of his work with a knife, scare away all kinds of losers from girls. So, don't get involved anymore. Kamegan. All work in the world. Better work more. Work in the world. And one day in his life, a girl in Anessa, a working representative of the most ancient profession, appeared in his life, and then they suddenly fall in love with each other, like a mongrel in a hot cheburek, but in the fabulous family life of the birth of a child, the construction of a house, according to a tree garden. They gave divorce, division and wealth, and huge elements, violated a small problem. The grandfather's organs turned out to be favorable fauna for a family of crayfish, which settled in them for permanent residence. Well, fuck you. That's what happens when men spend all day hammering at shooting games and harassing a guy on the internet. And along the way, the grandfather received 15 unpaid mortgage loans and 200 micro loans. Since he was so easily brave with the upcoming relocation of a wooden coffin, and did not go to chemotherapy, or to People X, so that rock cured him in a second, overloading his cancer to his server. And did not even try the secrets of the health of folk healers, like squat exercises according to the program before knocking out fresh cucumbers. And the goose gives coolness, most likely with the power of the earth. And about the departure to the next world, such a promising man, he learns to mediadichcam, Spirim and we build Utant Invis, and offers a unique treatment program, after which there will be no need to look for cheap ritual inheritance in Annecy. What if I say that we are able to heal you, even more to give opportunities, that you can only dream of? Yes, you're making a good call. And along with oncology, he also offers to treat his brains. After all, Vite first refuses the chance to be cured of cancer. She goes to the bar instead of spending the rest of her time, who's when they love her more than the ladies were door to substitute the potters in front of us. He leaves and goes to the mutant clinic, without saying anything about it, in order to eat there. After all, I want urates. And for the rest of my life I thought that he died from a standard treatment in a trash can. And something Vite launched himself, and when Vite thought that the cancer treatment program, and free skill leveling, would take place in a comfortable 5-star mutant school Charzik with Avi, under the supervision of a qualified staff. I've never been so wrong in my life. He gets into the underground lab, where some people are tied up, and for which he has to shit right under himself, and Gina Karen's doctors treat him, and I will see yesterday's Ajax addict, put before the fact, that the way he is undergoing treatment for the promotion, that is, the service is appropriate. This is not a government program. This is an honest institution where the second raw material is processed for you, into nothing extraordinary. Oh, it would be already, though. And when they are both mutants of the highest category, they were put on the position of doctors from the fuck. Gina generally has skillful invulnerability and power, with which she can send Rylova to Nakaustalna at once. Instead of sending her to chop up enemy countries, she was put to insert clavas for sense, and change them for diapers. And this is definitely a strong, but useless. And the course on activating Gen X was written by the European Inquisition. First they pump up special drugs, and then they send them to all kinds of tortures, because Gen X is activated only when stress is on the verge of death. He's playing some kind of sadistic game with us, and when the manifestation of the ability of this tire, and Vade can get the ability of a magnet, a fire lizard, or even worse, the person of the rest of the machine, the doctor of the drug addict Yax, thought of blurting out to him that after treatment they would get him a job, without social payments from the rent. In secret, Wade, here we are not making superheroes, we are making super robots. We'll put a leash on you and punch you as expensive as possible. That's who got you stuck with the shortcomers? So that after the manifestation of one of the abilities, Wade and his in the lab, he lived nothing. Did not call, yes, volumes. You hope all feel it. Well, you, Oleg. And after a few hours, without oxygen procedures, the Vade is finally activated. a flying Gen X supergeneration, and there would be no need to start erasing Vade's memory to prepare the goods for sale. Narika Yax, due to her ludic character, decided to give him vacuum procedures once again, and so, Quaid, the skill is 100% upgraded, be like Taretha. He is in the mode of an oral Chigan, cuts a match directly from the Ortat Gina, and when the doctor leaves to change the ducts to other patients, Vade forces are not strained with a fingernail, lights a match, and thanks to the fact that he ate peas for lunch, he is pumped up by the RKO-fag with aspropane, which detonates the quality of the four, for which Wade gets a string, the god of peas. And who are the laboratories for the creation of mutants, which bring obviously a bad exhaust, will be spent on a fire extinguishing system that spreads throughout the building in a minute. Attishit and curled only one Ajax. Are you at a party and what the fuck? And so, as the head physician of the Yax did not warn the patient by way of Wade, that according to the side effects of cancer treatment, there will be a wrinkled trefoil in the physiognomy. There's one little surprise in store for you. He decides to beat off all his kidneys, but due to the fact that Wade was in the army, only painted lawns, and collected puddles with a rake, and Yax, as a more prepared fighter, comes out victorious and connects Wade with the floor with the help of rebar. And then Wade was lucky again that because of Devimaya, Yax lost his memory, when he knew that Wade was super fast regeneration, dumps to get insurance for the fire, leaving the dangerous horseradish alive. Thomas, when you grow up, be a burger. Don't become a moron, like the Ducky theme. Okay, that's it. In the morning, cutting yourself off from the fittings and bash the mounting grinder, Vade goes to reconnect to another, where he has a glass of whiskey, comes up with a klakuha for himself, sews suits for attachments, and begins to do police work, walks through the drug cartels of the city, and with bullets in the head, taking into account not only to comply with the criminal code, but also finds out the place of arrival of the drug addict Yaksa, since he promised to return the order to him, and, as an adult man, he is afraid to show his girlfriend with such a face, although half of the women in Russian dorms live with images and are similar, and nothing. The kids are fucking happy. And after reducing the population of criminals by a couple of dozen, Vade finds that volunteer uncle, who advised him to go to the Ajax clinic, and giving him a pleasant feeling. By breaking several bones, Vade will establish a known route for moving Yax, and, apparently, GENX, in place of regeneration, reduced the intellectual, 99% and covering up a bunch of mafia clans. He did not collect money from them to buy a normal hut, and he lives with some grandmother in a ghetto, a square, which he pays with drugs, and has not found a car or bike to get to any place quickly. They wait until a taxi comes for him, for which he still has no money. And I didn't find a helper at work, and it is immediately clear that in the army he was trained by the wrong miscalculate Deigel, in which he would not allow himself to be afraid of him. Going to the disassembly, he forgot a bag of weapons, forgot a seed with patrons. Fuck. Let's be serious, for the sake of losing. And now I have to use only 2 guns without dangerous magazines, but at least he has the ability to do math. He can calculate the trajectory of the jump, and get right into the hatch with a bandos, and when not finding Ajax's car, it will come out. Niobe quickly, we will put bandos on the sword and look for Ajax in other cars. I decided to beat bots, strangle them, torture them with the smell of my unwashed feet for a week, so that while he was starting with bullshit, Yax was already on the other side of the city. He takes a distance and arranges an accident out of the blue, because of his sadno-masochistic tendencies, he gets high from the feeling, when the bones turn into a parashock and fuse again. Well, so, and Yax himself is a person deprived of intelligence. He cleaned the mercenaries to match himself. Here the dude survived an accident, in which any other person should turn into mincemeat, and not a rod for him with a pathetic gunshot, and Dr. Yax has a roof to a smoky locomotive. Russell Izvamovac, the bottom of the beam, is trying to kill with a gunshot, although the only winning option is to dump and call Gina Karen, who would sort him out this time. It's an opening. And while Yax was already turning around for a new approach, Vite introduces the remaining degraders from the rink. Having managed to get 2 Kai Viki at once in less than 2 minutes, Hawk's eyes and Boom loves Trinity. And only after that, and Yax still decides to have a good day. Only because of mental retardation, He confused the direction and drove in the direction of Wade, but there is no him. And Paul, as a traffic cop, stops the crunch for speeding, and writes out a fine in one powerful pussy and landing on a sword, but to carry out a nose rhinoplasty with his fist. The X-Men interfere and would not be the first thing. Tie the hands and feet of a dangerous type, set up a bazaar in an empty place, and they didn't notice in front of their noses how a Yax pulled out his sword and dumped himself on the moccasins. Both in the head, which has super speed, managed to catch up with him. Girl, it's slowing down. And then, the metal fights, puts the Vades on the handbrakes, to take them to their sect of mutants to talk to the rector to the owls. And Wade knows that he likes to pick his brains here, decides that he will live a better day without a hand, than if a bald old man sees what he does in his free time, and falls right into the Yandex trash, which also performs the role of taxi and drives him home, where he begins to grow his hand saucer, smearing her with a Mose from a wheelbarrow. An excellent strategy with ether. And at this time Dr. Ajax decides to take revenge on Paul for a ruined suit, which he bought at the last grandmother in the central department store. Therefore, to bring to your favorite Borvedo, finds a light clue how to get Wade out. Blaga Koryphon manages to warn that Vade can visit his girl, soon only in the city morgue, and only after that the cool mercenary Vade winds eggs on his fist, decides to go to Vanessa. Well, a second before the surprise. Again, she points and leaves when Ajax bandits can come to her at any second. And this glasses, be like Parker, and unlike Wade, Ajax was not afraid to invite Vanessa to the alley, where Karen from his own method shows her that you need to sleep at night, and not go to clubs. And Vado remains content, only her purse told him that he, Predor, Ajax, through Vanessa's phone, scores an arrow for Wade near the ship, and you need to be the last Vassell to know Wade's number. And invite him to the disassembly, which he can prepare for, and call for help. For example, People X, and to avoid failure, you had to track the location of the number, and send a helicopter, smash his house with rockets, and then send troops of hired soldiers, so that they would find Wade's limb and dissolve it in a salt Teslot. But Ajax chose the full Cormorant plan. Realizing that you can't go to the arrow alone, Vade pulls up the warhead of the steel snout for safety, and you can immediately see how Vade is worried about Vanessa, younger than the fact that he goes to the arrow with a pretentious gait, and not with the speed of Mercury. He is also a moron again, he forgot the arsenal. Where is he with the cartridges? And Ajax is a real what? Assigned an arrow 1-to-1, and came in a pillar. This is not a crowd attack. This is fraternal help. True. The pillar of Bem is 40, and who himself, to whom he issued automatics, and not grenade launchers, because again he forgot